A night among the Trump believers way up north. Minnesota's lonely island of electoral blue in the midst of Donald Trump's upper Midwest Republican bloodbath was on the minds of nearly everyone inside Duluth&apos Amsoil Arena Tuesday night. Every speaker, including President Trump, referred to it, though perhaps no one quite as dramatically as state GOP chairwoman Jennifer Carnahan, who warned the thousands in attendance about a red tsunami rolling across Lake Superior. Just add it to the list of greasy Wisconsin imports, I guess. The family separation backlash became too much for even this administration to withstand. Trump does not tend to visit states he cannot in some way claim as his, blue states that fail to jive with his hoary recitation of election night. If you're wondering why the president came to Minnesota anyway, that's because Trump did come within just a couple percentage points of taking the state. He told the crowd this, of course. If you're wondering why Trump came to Duluth, that's because Duluth is a reverse oasis in a place known for its natural beauty, good health outcomes, relatively low crime and high standard of living. Like the more prosperous areas of Minnesota, Duluth is strikingly white. Look deeper than skin and you'll find Duluth is a struggling post-manufacturing cipher with the highest drug overdose rate in the state. U.S. Steel closed its gigantic Morgan Park plant in 1981. Causing a slow cascade of desolation that stilled the concrete and hardboard plants and emptied out the grain elevators. Today, the small city of 80,000 scrapes by on its business or tourism and as a port. There's a paper plant that has been on the verge of closing for 10 years. Duluth has a poverty rate, 21%, that would rank it among the most desperate counties in West Virginia and per capita income just below that of Wheeling. Lake Superior's merciless beauty crashes up against a town whose shoreside skyline is dominated by stolid, brutalist mid-century relics and precarious-seeming industrial shipping contraptions, rusty and mostly silent. Downtown, every surface is covered with a thin layer of grime. It is, in other words, Trump country. I can't believe he's here in Duluth, one woman at the rally told me. When I asked another if she'd been to any other rallies, she thought for a moment and said, Reagan. When I was little. Another gentleman told me he'd seen Bush. Unlike other parts of Trump country, Duluth hasn't received the disproportionate attention that comes with strategic electoral or even symbolic import. There haven't been any deep dives into the local psyche by national reporters and it is far afield of any normal campaign trail. The fans gathered to see Trump Tuesday night did not inspect him with the knowledgeable eyes of early voting Iowans or give off the jaded air of the much pandered to Rust Belter. They weren't even especially practiced Trump fans. They fidgeted through the 4 hours between doors opening and Trump appearing on stage like teeny boppers waiting for a boy band, trading theories on what he'd say. I think he'll explain the whole border thing. One guy told me with infinite optimism. That was the only time someone brought up, without prompting, the fact that American law enforcement was keeping children in cages, the whole border thing, while we shifted around in place to the soundtrack of someone's wedding reception playlist, Don't Stop Believing, Say You, Say Me, rolling in the deep. When I pressed the optimist on what he expected to hear, he backpedaled to an even broader statement, well, we have to do something. Why? We can't just keep letting people in, he said. That would be like having a big fancy Thanksgiving dinner planned and then the whole neighborhood deciding they could come over, just barge in and sit at the table. There wouldn't be enough food, and they might trash your place and use your toilet, you'd have to hope they flushed. He went on in that vein for a while I stayed hung up on how smoothly he perverted Thanksgiving into a parable about not sharing. Later, Trump would conclude his speech by embroidering on the myth of brave Minnesota settlers, enduring harsh winters and relying on each other, almost as if no one was here before them, either. Trump did not spend too much time on the whole border thing, much less explain it. What he did say may wind up being one of the most accidentally honest statements of the night. We're going to keep families together, but the border is going to be as tough as it's ever been. Put another way, however they change the treatment of families, the level of cruelty will be continuous. I've been to Trump rallies before that felt dark with rage. What was disconcerting about the one in Duluth was its giddy weightlessness. Even Trump seemed unburdened, his stream of consciousness not eddying too much in dangerous petty grievances, like the Mueller investigation, but rather swirling in more grand existential loops, like his riff about elites. You ever notice they always call the other side the elite? The elite. Why are they elite? I have a much better apartment than they do. I'm smarter than they are. I'm richer than they are. I became president and they didn't. The crowd whooped in shared glee, if not shared fortune. They knew their lines: lock her up, and build the wall, and CNN sucks. All rang out at the appropriate cues. When Trump indicated a pause for laughter, it's hard to describe anything he says as a joke. They delivered the syllables with